Hello guys, welcome back to Championship predictions for week 4. It's already the 4th week and I am joined by Sophie. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not good. I don't even want to be here right now.
Did you see the scores from last week?
Of course, and you kindly remind me.
Let's get them up. I absolutely smashed it. 14-3. Look at that. I absolutely bossed it last week.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest win I've ever had in a single week of predictions. So, as you can imagine, I'm feeling extremely happy and extremely smug.
Yes, you are. I mean, that was a terrible, terrible, terrible week for me, but fair play, because you absolutely smashed it with some of those scores you got bang on.
Before we get into predictions for this week, guys, make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 2,200. Make sure we do it. It takes 2 seconds. And make sure to subscribe as well. If you want some more brilliant predictions from myself and Sophie,
And not me,
make sure to subscribe and do get your predictions down below as well. Let's get straight into the predictions, Sophie, and we start with Luton Town versus Queen's Park Rangers, who, funnily enough, played in midweek in the Cup as well. We are recording this before they play in the Cup. I don't know what kind of bearing that game will have on this one because they'll go more serious for the league game.
Yeah.
And they're both yet to win. Luton have 1 point after a 4-1 loss to Burnley, a draw with 10 men against Portsmouth, and a defeat to Preston last time out. As for Queen's Park Rangers, they lost on the opening day to West Brom, drew with 10 men against Sheffield United, and then drew against 9 men
in the end, yeah.
Against Plymouth. I'm not sure. I'm going to go straight in for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I'm going the same. And I'm not just copying you because you got so many right last week. Genuinely felt like this one could end a draw just because I'm struggling to separate the two at the moment. Yeah, what more can I say? I think it is going to be a 1-1.
I think with the home advantage, I'm not sure if Luton are going to lose, but they've not really impressed
They've not impressed
me.
at all, no.
They will have Kaminsky back though, won't they? Or is he out for 2 games?
I'm not too sure actually.
That might change the outcome.
Yeah, it could
I
have
don't
a
know.
slight bearing, but
I'm going for a
anyway,
draw.
Yeah, same.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. And this is a big one, Sophie. It's Burnley v Blackburn, a big Lancashire derby. And it's a really juicy game because they are both in the top 6. Yes, it's only been 3 games, but Blackburn have been really good. And if there's ever an opportunity to get one over Burnley, it might be now.
Right now.
But Burnley, they have been pretty good. Yes, Burnley lost to Sunderland and it was a big game and they lost it, but I don't think that's going to have any bearing on how I feel about Burnley. I still think they're very strong. The only thing with Burnley is their XG suggests they don't actually create a lot, but they tend to take the chances when they come. They didn't score against Sunderland, but they scored 5 in their last home game against Cardiff. I think this will be a close game. I think Blackburn are going to be really up for it, but surely Burnley will as well. And with the home crowd, I think they're going to get it over the line. Burnley 2, Blackburn 1.
Okay, I'm going 2-2 actually.
Wow.
Saying that, I thought I'm torn between. Weirdly, I'm torn between 0-0 or 2-2. I think they're going to cancel each other out, but I think there could be goals in this, just because there have been a few goals in the last few games. Burnley, before the Sunderland game, they were doing amazing. Obviously, they've lost a few players, which I think is key to mention, which they did before the Sunderland game. And I think they could be a big miss for the next few weeks, as I mentioned in the Carabao Cup video. And then Blackburn so far have really impressed me, actually. They've been looking really good. So that's why I'm going to give them a point on the road, which would be a great point up at Turf Moor. But I think it could be an entertaining one, actually. So Desmond for me.
It would be a good draw for Blackburn. I think John Eustace is doing a very good job there.
He is. He's a good manager, actually.
I just think Burnley are going to win a lot of games this season, and that is ultimately what's just tipped it for me. I just think the Premier League quality there. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go down to South Wales as Cardiff take on Middlesbrough. Not many people backed Cardiff to get something at Swansea, but I did go for a 1-1 draw, and they did it. They got a late equaliser. Baloo got sent off right at the end, but at least they got a draw. It's their first point of the season.
How daft was that sending off, by the way, as well?
Yeah.
I think that was incredibly harsh.
Yeah, I do. And then as for Middlesbrough, Sophie, a lot of people backed them to beat Portsmouth, except for me. I went for a draw. Oh, and it was a draw. Middlesbrough drew with Portsmouth last time out, and I think in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if Middlesbrough have a lot of it, but don't capitalise. And I think Cardiff are going to build on their draw last week with another draw here. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, I mean, we'd said for a while now that Middlesbrough do tend to start slow. It's just what they do.
They're playing quite well. They're just not taking the chances.
That's the thing. They are creating chances. So there's definitely positives there, and they are at times scoring some of the goals because it was the high scoring one against Portsmouth. But I think I've got to try and scrape some points back, and I can't just go down the middle and say a draw. So I'm going to choose a winner, and it's going to be Middlesbrough, and I hope to God they do it for me. 2-1 Middlesbrough.
2-1. Okay, there you go. Neither of us going for Cardiff, but I'll go with them to get another draw. Let's go to the CBS, Sophie. We will be there on Saturday at 12:30 as Coventry take on Norwich City. Two teams that have got to be sniffing around the playoffs this season, but have both started fairly slow. Coventry have picked up 4 points, which is all right. It's not bad, but I think given the expectation, we've got to make it 2 wins pretty soon. And will we do it against Norwich?
Hard one.
We never tend to beat them. I don't think we've beaten them in probably about 15 years. Norwich haven't won yet this season. They lost to Oxford, didn't they, of course?
Did.
And then they got 2 draws at home against Blackburn and Sheffield United. I think the thing that worries me is Norwich always tend to score. I think Josh Sargent might score.
He will definitely score.
And I hope Coventry are up for it. I really hope our crowd are up for it. But I just have this nagging feeling we're starting slow. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to win this. A draw wouldn't be a disaster. A loss probably would be. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to sit on the fence. 1-1. Just because we never beat them.
Yeah, we don't. But it's the Championship. Anything can happen. Saying that, I'm going to back us to win. I don't know why I'm not just playing it safe and going for a draw as well, because I think a 1-1 is quite likely for this one. I wouldn't even be surprised if we went behind, because we are starting games so badly. We need to knock that on the head, because we seem to only be playing football in the second half, which is so frustrating. Norwich are a good team. We don't often beat them, but as I say, it's the Championship. Anything can happen. So 2-1 to Cov.
I rate that. I hope you're right.
Yeah. Oh God, I hope I'm right. Yeah, being
of course.
a Cov fan,
Yeah, fingers crossed. But like I say, it's always difficult. And Norwich, they are a decent team, even though they've not won yet in the league. Let's go to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to Derby County versus Bristol City. Derby, they got their first win the week before last against Middlesbrough, and then they did go 1-0 up against Watford, but they did lose 2-1 as I predicted. They take on Bristol City, Sophie, who we both predicted to draw against Coventry, which they did, and I think Bristol City played quite well, especially in the first half. I think they'll be kicking themselves not to have won that game. The goal is a worldie, an absolute worldie. As I said, maybe a little bit of the player is offside that's lying between the keeper's legs.
He's in an offside position, but
I don't think the keeper's going to save it.
No.
I'm torn here because Derby last time at home got that win against Middlesbrough, even though they had to defend for their lives. So I think if they're going to win, they'll have to do that. But I don't think they will do it. I'm going to go for Bristol City, 1-0.
Oh, okay. I see Derby scoring in this. They don't seem to have any issues scoring. They just seem to have issues seeing a game out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went 1-0 up in the first half and then they concede in the second half and it's going to end 1-1 for me. It's just game management for Derby at the moment. I mean, you could say the same against Bristol City because they didn't see the game out against Coventry and we played terribly. But I mean, it was a great goal. It was a great goal for theirs. You can't take anything away from them. If they put in another good performance like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they walked away with all 3 points, actually. But I think they're going to share the spoils, so 1-1.
1-1. Yeah, okay. I think Bristol City have done all right so far, and I think they will have a good season. But if Derby are going to stay up, they need to get some points at home. Let's go to Ellen Road, Sophie, for a Yorkshire derby as Leeds take on Hull City. Both sides won't be playing in midweek because they'll be resting because they're out of the Carabao Cup. Leeds surely have to fancy this now because they did get up and running. They got that win against Sheffield Wednesday. And look, to be honest, I wasn't convinced when I backed them to win. I was a bit like, oh, you know, seeing as we've backed them to win the league, they've got to start winning soon. And they were really good.
They were, yeah. Sheffield Wednesday, I will admit, they were poor. Watching them, that is below their standard by far. But Leeds, very, very good. Their counter-attacking is rapid. I mean, you've got Dan James, who's rapid as well.
His goal was clever, wasn't it?
It was such a good finish. Yeah, so composed, which I wouldn't usually describe him as a composed kind of player. So I think they're going to do it again this week.
Yeah. Well, they take on Hull City, Sophie, who drew 0-0 with Millwall, and it's 3 draws in a row for Hull.
Yeah.
I think if they were to make it 4, they'd be pretty happy.
A draw, I think, here would be good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the Hull fans will be up for this. I know most of them really don't like Leeds, but I do think Leeds will edge it. I think that win last week is a really nice platform for Leeds to go off. So I'll go Leeds 2, Hull 1. I think Hull will score, but I think Leeds will edge it.
So I'm going to say another 2-0 Leeds win. I think another clean sheet will give the team that confidence boost, but also getting another couple of goals. As I said, Sheffield Wednesday didn't look good, but Leeds took their chances, and I think they're going to do the same against Hull. Especially being at home, I do fancy them more so at Ellen Road.
There you go. So Leeds, Hull are both backing Leeds to win, and it's the teams they played last week that are both playing each other next.
Yeah.
Millwall v Sheffield Wednesday. Millwall, they drew 0-0 at Hull, and it's a good point for them because it's their first of the season. It gets them moving, and they take on Sheffield Wednesday, Sophie, who, as we said, since that win against Plymouth, it's not quite been the same. So do you know what? It's one of them where they both really want to win. A draw's not bad for Sheffield Wednesday. It'd be more bad for Millwall because that would now be 4 games without a win. I think Millwall have really got to want this, but I don't know. I just don't see Danny Roll letting this team keep slipping up. I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to go for a goalless one. I don't chuck in many 0-0, so I'm going to go for one here. Millwall 0, Wednesday 0, which is not a loss.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. I don't often predict a 0-0, and then sometimes in hindsight you think, oh, that had a 0-0 written all over it. I'm not feeling that way with this one at the moment. I do think there could be a couple, but ultimately I think it's going to be a draw unless their performances change for this one. I would be a little bit surprised, but yeah, a draw probably does just kind of stop the defeats for Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, especially if they put in a good performance and then it's a draw. There'll be a lot more promising signs, but Millwall, it's not looking great for them so far either, so a draw doesn't really benefit either too much. Slightly Wednesday, 1-1.
There you go. Both going for a draw. Do share your thoughts on that game. Both could do with that win. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's go to the Kassam. Oxford United take on Preston. Look, it feels like quite a while ago now, but Oxford have won their only home game so far this season, 2-0 against Norwich. And to be fair, actually, they won at home against Peterborough in the Cup as well. As for Preston, Sophie, Preston, really strange start, really bad, and then they changed the manager again, but Heckingbottom I think is a good appointment. It's sensible, he's proven at this level, and it paid off. A good win against Luton, which I didn't see coming, so fair play to them. As for this game, I don't know how to feel. I wouldn't be surprised if Preston built on that win with another win, but Oxford are showing some good signs, so I wouldn't be surprised if they win, and I do think it's at home they're going to get most of their points.
Yeah.
I've gone for so many draws today, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm going to go for Oxford United. I'm going to go 2-1. They've been really ruthless at taking their chances when they come. So I think that'll be the case here. They're going to snatch it against Preston.
Okay, I can see Preston snatching it, actually. I thought that was a good performance against Luton. I see what you're saying about Oxford at home, and that's why I was tempted to say a draw as well. But could it just be a new manager bounce for Preston last week? Possibly, but I'm going to say no. I think they're going to back it up with another win.
Yeah.
2-1 Preston.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, you'd forget they had a bad start, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you just think, oh no, forget about the other games. It's only the ones that with this manager that count.
Yeah, okay. Right, on to the next one, Sophie. Let's go down to Devon as Plymouth Argyle take on their former manager in Schumacher, of course, Stoke City here. Big game this, because they both need a win. There is that little bit of danger that, you know, they both start, well, not stinking the place out. It's too early to say that, but Plymouth haven't won yet, and Stoke were good against Coventry, but they've not really followed it up yet. I've got to be honest, I know winning is the best thing you can do, but that draw at QPR is really encouraging for Plymouth.
Yeah. And
really encouraging.
I mean, they did have 10 men for a bit and then ultimately went down to 9 and managed to see the game out. I know it's quite late on the second red, but obviously they will be without those players for this game, so that's important to mention. Of
course, yeah, there will be suspensions, but I still think despite the red cards being a hindrance, they've shown really good character to get a draw over the line. And what a goal from Morgan Whittaker. I would not be surprised if this is a draw, but if Plymouth are going to stay up, I think it's the home games.
Yeah.
Just like with Oxford United, they've got to get points at home, and I think they're going to do it. Plymouth 2, Stoke City 1. I'm back in the Pilgrims here. They're staying up, remember? We predicted them to.
So they need to get some points. And as I said, I think they're going to get a lot of them at home. So I am going to back them. I think that was more gutsy performance. And they showed that championship grit to get the point over the line in their last game. Yeah, I'm going to say 1-0, actually. I think it could be a low-scoring one. Probably Whittaker scoring again. What a great goal that was from him. Just thought, how on earth did that go in? 1-0 Plymouth.
1-0 Plymouth, yeah. We're both back in Plymouth, guys. Share your thoughts. Stoke could do with a result as well, though. On to the next one, Sophie. Let's stay on the south coast, and we're going to go to Portsmouth versus Sunderland. This is a really interesting matchup. It was a Premier League
journey.
It's a long old journey, and it was a Premier League game when we were kids. I'm really not sure. I mean, let's start with Sunderland. How good have they been? 3 wins out of 3, and they deserve it. They're not fluking this. They do look that good. They've been really, really impressive. And to beat Burnley, very good. They go away to Portsmouth, Sophie, who just keep picking up good points against good teams. 3 draws from 3 games against Leeds, Luton and Middlesbrough. And I feel like I was one of the only people to predict them to get something at Middlesbrough. But neither of us backed Sunderland last week, and the Sunderland fans keep saying, Sophie, keep backing us to lose, because when you do that, we win.
I know. I think I've said they'll lose 3 times. They've won all 3.
It's difficult though, Sophie, because I could see Sunderland getting a 4th win, but I could also see Portsmouth getting a 4th draw.
Yeah.
Portsmouth are not going to roll over for any of these good teams, so it's just a matter of, can Sunderland break them down? I do feel like, from what I can remember in League One, Sunderland find it quite difficult coming to Portsmouth. It's a difficult ground, Fratton Park, to come and try and take over. And I remember in one of the playoff games, I think a Sunderland player fell into the crowd and the Portsmouth fans were beating him up. Like I say, I think it could be a draw, so it would be 4 Portsmouth draws. It could be a Sunderland win, which would be 4 Sunderland wins. I'm going to go Portsmouth 1-0.
Wow.
I'm spicing it up. I'm really sorry to the Sunderland fans. Everything is pointing towards them getting something, so I'm saying no.
Yeah, do you know what? I apologise to the Sunderland fans because I am backing you this week. So you know what that means. You'll probably lose or draw. But I'm sorry. I've not backed you for 3 weeks and you've won all 3. So I need to back you now. This is a really tough game. And I think it could be a really close game. But I'm going to back Sunderland just to do it, 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a feeling the Sunderland fans are going to be really annoyed now, saying, no, keep backing us to lose because we're doing well. So I'm sorry now if you don't win after all of that.
Oh, yeah. God. We will see. I mean, it's a really interesting match. I think that's going to be the best game of the week. Portsmouth, Sunderland fans, we wish you both the best of luck. We're going opposite ways. Let's see what happens. On to the next game, Sophie. Let's go to the Hawthorns as West Bromwich Albion take on Swansea City. And West Brom, they are having a very good start. They beat QPR, they drew with Leeds, and now they've beaten Stoke. And they take on Swansea, who, I've got to admit, when they smashed Preston 3-0, I thought, wow, very good. And although I did predict them to draw with Cardiff, it was a game which I think they really should have won. I mean, they were winning going into the final 10-15 minutes, and they were at home against a team low on confidence, and I think that would have given them such a big boost.
Winning that derby.
Winning the derby. So I think Swansea will feel a little bit like, we're kicking ourselves.
Disheartened a
little bit disheartened. And I think they're not going to get anything here. I think West Brom have been really good. 2-0.
Ooh, 2-0. Do you know what? I'm going to say 1-0 West Brom. Yeah, I was not just annoyed because of my prediction with Swansea and Cardiff, and I thought they let me down in the last 10 minutes there because I had Swansea 1-0, but I think they let their fans down a little bit as well. It's just game management, isn't it? I know it's a derby and anything can happen, but ultimately I feel like that's points dropped. Now they're coming up against West Brom, who have started very strong. I've said it in so many videos how much I rate Corberan. I think he's a great manager. And they're a good team, so I can't not go for West Brom when they're at home. 1-0, I think they'll keep a clean sheet as well.
There you go. Both back in the baggies to get the win at home with a clean sheet as well. We will see. On to the final game then, Sophie. We will go to Bramall Lane as Sheffield United take on Watford. A really interesting game. Sheffield United undefeated, but only 5 points picked up, and therefore only on 3 points because of the deduction. As for Watford, Sophie, 3 wins from 3.
Can we talk about Cleverley? Because
Tom Cleverley
he
is
is
the
doing
magician.
some job. They had a terrible pre-season, and I think he's like hoodwinked quite a few teams because they've started very well.
Yeah.
Who knows how long that can continue?
Most people thought they wouldn't have a good season as well. I think we both put them bottom half.
Yeah, they'd be poor.
It's early days, but I wouldn't be surprised if Watford can go and get another result. But it is tricky, isn't it? Bramall Lane. Maybe a draw.
I think a draw.
Nah.
Oh.
Sheffield United 2-1. They're going to end Watford's run here.
Oh, I don't know how you can watch Sheffield United's last performance and then back them to win.
And do you know what?
I know they're back at home, but
I think it's because they're at home.
I don't know if I'm going to pick a winner either. I think I might play it a little bit safe and go for a 2-2.
You go for a 2-2?
Yeah, I think there could be a few goals in this one. As I've just said, Tom Cleverley is doing a great job.
He is.
Sheffield United, they have some really good players. Ultimately, I think you need to play some of those players in their preferred position. I hate seeing Hamer wasted out there on the wing. It's not his preferred position. He's one of the best players in the Championship, if not the best player. I think he's a little bit wasted there. They've got Arblaster as well, who I said earlier, or in the last video maybe, that he is a very, very good player. Gilchrist, I think he had a great game. So they've got real quality there. It's just, can they knit it all together? I don't know. That's why I'm going for a draw. I think it's 2 teams that might cancel each other out. 2-2.
There you go. Sophie's going for a draw, I'm going for the Blades, and that does wrap up the Championship predictions, guys. So then, guys, do make sure to share your predictions down in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like. It takes 2 seconds. Get involved, and please do make sure to subscribe. Help us hit 73,000 subs before we hit the bloody international break. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
We will see you in the next one. Take care. Peace out.